Hey guys, Political Junkie 2414 here, and welcome back to my next election analysis video. So today, we're not going to be doing a prediction per se, but I'm going to be talking a little bit about the 2024 U.S. Senate elections, not 2022. So these are the elections that will run concurrent with in other words, that will run alongside the 2024 US presidential election, which I've already made one prediction for, plan to make many more. And I wanted to talk about how bad this map is for the Democratic Party and how many opportunities the Republican Party will have to take control of the US Senate. So, in my most recent prediction, if I can pull it up, I'm going to try to do it from memory. Tomorrow I will be releasing my next prediction, which is a little bit different. Believe that was right. Yep. Yep. There's one more seat. All right. So anyways, 2022 is going to be very hard for Democrats to retain the majority. They do not have the national environment on their side. Pretty much everything is working against them at this point. Except for the fact that even despite Biden's abysmal approval ratings, some Democratic voters that disapprove of Biden are still not willing to vote for the GOP because the GOP has just pushed so many people so far away from them with their by alienating it. They've really alienated them because a lot of people see them as a pretty extreme party nowadays. And so this is my most recent prediction. Expect a lot to have changed by the time I upload my next prediction tomorrow, and make a video about that. So you can see Democrats win 51 Senate seats, Republicans win 49. I should have pulled this up earlier. I wasn't exactly sure where this video was going to go though, so yeah. Hold on. So, anyways, this is my current prediction of how the map will go. Let's fill that in on the USA Senate map by yapms.com. And so this is a map to give us a full understanding of where the Senate elections will turn out, or, of the full composition of the Senate and how it changes as the years go by. So as you can see, I'm filling in the Republican states now. So what I mean by it being a very bad year for the Democratic Party is that they've actually had many successes in the Class 1 Senate cycle, or class Senate Class 1 over the years, and because they have so many seats that they've gained, they have so much room to fall, and of course it's very um this Senate right now is 50-50 split, with Kamala Harris breaking the tie. Though it's been hard for Biden to get some of his agenda passed because of Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema refusing to eliminate the filibuster for certain pieces of Biden's agenda and his legislation. Um, and so let me just fill this in. Sorry, this is taking so long. Okay, so this is the current Senate map. As you can see, there are so few states with a Democratic senator and a Republican senator. Concurrently, of course, you can see Montana has one Democrat, John Tester, and one Republican, Steve Daines. Wisconsin has Tammy Baldwin, a Democrat, Ron Johnson, a Republican. Ohio has Rob Portman and Sherrod Brown. West Virginia, of course, has the infamous Joe Manchin and Shelley Moore Capito's the Republican. Uh, Capito's the Republican, Manchin's the Democrat. Pennsylvania, Bob Casey Jr., the Democrat. Pat Toomey, the Republican. And in Maine, this is Angus King is an independent, but he caucuses with the Democrats, so I'm going to be counting him as a Democratic member. Same with Bernie Sanders. And then Susan Collins is, of course, the Republican. So as you can see, it's split 50-50, and in the case of this, of course, the Vice President Kamala Harris would break the tie, which means since Democrats hold the White House, they effectively hold the Senate. So even with winning, I have them gaining one seat currently in Pennsylvania, which puts them at 51 and 49, gives them one extra seat, which means they can pass legislation if Manchin or Sinema decides to block something, but not if both of them, because that would still end up with a vote of 51 to 49, give or take a couple senators that don't vote or that cross party lines. It really depends. And so, as you can see, the 2024 U.S. Senate elections, this is the same map. This is a blank map. As you can see, there's an awful lot of blue, and there's a reason for that. This class of senators, this first class, 2022 will be class free Senate, the class free Senate cycle up. These, of course, all these classes are divided up and are up for, and the senators in them are up for re-election every 6 years. These senators were last elected in 2018. So you can see there was an awful lot of blue. Of course, this was a blue wave year. Donald Trump was very unpopular, but Republicans were able to make a lot of gains in the Senate. They were able to defeat Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota, defeat Claire McCaskill in Missouri, defeat Joe Donnelly in Indiana, and surprisingly defeat Bill Nelson in Florida, though this one was a big surprise. Rick Scott was not expected to win this race. At least most people didn't. And so as you can see, there's an awful lot of blue here on this map. And you can see that many of these competitive states, such as Nevada, Arizona, Montana, although Montana's not usually, one of the things about this map is that West Virginia and Montana, which are, pretty much safe Republican states, have Democratic senators. The reason for that is because these have been, John Tester and Joe Manchin are fairly conservative Democrats. Manchin more so than Tester. Tester tends to vote more with the party line, and so that's going to hurt him. But you have to remember that the reason why Manchin and Tester, part of the reason why they won was because this was a midterm blue wave, and this was an opportunity for voters that usually vote Republican in these states to push back on President Trump and vote for Manchin and Tester. These were two very popular incumbents. They, were able to appeal to the white working class. Same with Tammy Baldwin, Debbie Stabenow, and Bob Casey in Pennsylvania, as well as Sherrod Brown in Ohio. So Democrats really were able to luck out in these elections. Also, Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota, but that was pretty much a given. So Democrats were able to luck out in these elections. But look at how much bluer this map was in 2012. Look at this. So you can see North Dakota's blue, Missouri's blue, Indiana is blue. West Virginia, 24 points for Joe Manchin. Bill Nelson won by 13 points in Florida. Yes, Nevada and Arizona went red, but that was also because these were pretty well. Nevada had an incumbent, Dean Heller. Arizona, John Kyle was retiring, but still, these states, Arizona did lean more Republican. In Nevada, there wasn't a very good Democratic candidate, from my understanding. In Montana, John Tester was able to win by a larger margin than he did in 2018. He was expected to lose this race in 2006. He was able to oust Conrad Burns, the incumbent Republican senator. So John Tester's been very, very lucky. And when you look back at a lot of these senators, they have very strong electoral histories. Sherrod Brown won by 7 points in 2018, 6 points in 2012, 12 points in 2006, and against Mike DeWine, the incumbent Republican senator. Very similar case in Pennsylvania with Rick Santorum, very infamous name in politics and conservative politics now. Lost his reelection by 17 points to Bob Casey Jr., who has been very popular in the state and has been able to win by substantial margins for a Democrat. Same with in Wisconsin with Tammy Baldwin. Of course, Herb Kohl was the Democratic senator that she replaced, but Kohl was much more popular. She did face a competitive race, of course, in 2012, but that was because this was an open seat. You have to keep in mind that a lot of these states were competitive. New Mexico, Virginia, Indiana, Ohio, Massachusetts was even competitive. There was a Republican incumbent there, but we're not going to be talking about Massachusetts. And so I could really go on and on about how each of these senators is, really have very good electoral histories, but a part of that also has to do with the year that they've all been. As you can see, in 2006, the Democratic Party was able to snatch away the Senate majority from Republicans. George W. Bush was very, very unpopular. They were able to win in Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Montana, Missouri. These were all flips. Michigan was not a flip, as you can see. Debbie Stabenow won by 15 points. Herb Kohl won by 38 points. Klobuchar won by 20 points. This was her first election. There was even a Democrat in Nebraska. This was a very conservative Democrat, though, Ben Nelson. Oddly enough, Nevada did almost go to John Enzing by 15 points, but we're not going to be talking about Nevada right now. And this was you can see the map here is very blue. Maryland was likely, but that was because there was a retiring incumbent. Oh, yeah, and Rhode Island. I forget about this one. This was also a flip. Lincoln Chafee was the Republican senator there, very liberal Republican. And so, as you can see, not a lot has changed. So let's look at the amount of Republican incumbents that will be up in 2024 and show you just how few competitive seats they have. Utah, is that going to be competitive? Of course not. Mitt Romney might have a hard time in the primary if he runs again, but the general election's not going to be that competitive unless Evan McMullin runs against a non-Romney Republican, but that's unlikely to happen. Wyoming, no. John Barrasso is safe for re-election. North Dakota, it was surprising, or it was fairly close for North Dakota standards in 2018. But you have to remember Heidi Heitkamp was the incumbent Democratic senator who worked across the aisle very often. Nebraska, no. Deb Fischer's running for re-election. Missouri, Josh Hawley will be fine. Claire McCaskill's not going to run again. Mike Braun will be fine in Indiana. Marsha Blackburn, this was a competitive race in 2018. Phil Bredesen, the former Democratic governor of Tennessee, did run, but he underperformed the polls massively, and Marsha Blackburn's not going to face Bredesen again. Bredesen, I think, he's too old to run again. Roger Wicker will be safe in Mississippi. So as you can see, Texas and Florida are really the only um, conceivable, uh, I guess you could say, the only conceivable pickup opportunities for Democrats. Now let's look at the Democratic held seats that could be Republican targets, or that will be Republican targets. Arizona, Kirsten Sinema might get taken out in the primary, and because she's a strong general election candidate, whoever may replace her on the ballot, like Ruben Gallego, he may lose to a Republican, such as Doug Ducey or Andy Biggs. Nevada, Jackie Rosen might lose, simply because this is Nevada. Catherine Cortez Masto is facing a very tough re-election right now. I think Rosen is a stronger incumbent than Cortez Masto. She was able to defeat Dean Heller by 5 points in 2018. Nevada does have a history of underestimating Democratic support in polls, so I think she would hold on. In Montana, of course, we've talked about Jon Tester a lot in this video. He is pretty much doomed for re-election. You can see in Montana, he only won by 3 points in 2018, won by 3 points in 2012, won by 0.88%, about a point in 2006. So he's going to have a very hard time in 2024. Minnesota might be, but I think that Klobuchar is going to run again. If she doesn't, this race could be competitive, but it's not going to be a blowout for Klobuchar if she does run. Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin is extremely vulnerable. Michigan, Debbie Stabenow won by only 6 points after winning by 20 in 2012. In Ohio, Sherrod Brown is going to be having some trouble. He won by 7 points in 2018, but it's going to be hard for him to retain a seat. West Virginia, Joe Manchin, he does plan to run right now, but if he changes his mind, I think that this seat is an automatic Republican flip, just like it was for Jay Rockefeller's seat in 2014 when Capito took over the seat. So you can see this difference. They almost won by the exact same margin. Jay Rockefeller in 2008 won by 27 points. So did Capito. She won by almost 28. So, but you can see how similar these margins were. So, I think that if Manchin runs again, he has a good chance at winning because of his conservative policies, or his more conservative policies. But, if he doesn't run, it's going to be safe Republican flip. Um, Alex Mooney might challenge Manchin, and he might win against Manchin, but I think that he has a good shot at retaining his seat. It won't be a blowout like in 2012. Hold on, let me get that back up. I don't know what's going on. Um, was 24 points for Manchin, but as you can see in the polls in West Virginia, let's go to the polls. There were some released that show Manchin leading by strong margins against Alex Mooney. Jim Justice, the incumbent Republican governor, once a Democrat, who switched sides in 2017 after he got elected. He's doing fairly well against Manchin, but you have to remember there's a lot of undecided voters. In Manchin's case, there are a lot of other undecided voters against Patrick Morrisey. Patrick Morrisey was the Republican nominee, I believe, yeah, in 2018. So Manchin's pretty much got re-election in the bag as of right now, but it will be competitive for sure, very competitive. I think this race could be an automatic Republican flip. In Pennsylvania, Bob Casey Jr. has a strong electoral history, but at the same time, what if they get Dave McCormick? I almost said Rick Santorum. Rick Santorum would not be a good candidate. What if they get Dave McCormick to run again after he lost to Mehmet Oz in the primary? I think Pennsylvania Republicans have learned their lesson. But it doesn't stop there. What about Virginia? Tim Kaine might face a challenge from Glenn Youngkin. Yeah, Virginia is still a fairly blue state, and Youngkin did win in an off election year, with Virginia voters being very dissatisfied with Biden's performance. But you never know. That would give the Democrats something to worry about. What about in New Mexico? Martin Heinrich is a very strong incumbent, but we've seen surprise retirements before. What if Heinrich decides not to run? Minnesota, like I was saying, what if Klobuchar doesn't decide to run? You also have to keep in mind that there are a lot of possible Democratic retirements in in the 2024 election cycle. I want to go through some of the most likely ones. In California, Dianne Feinstein, she's going to be 91 in 2024. She has filed paperwork to run for re-election, but she said her staff said that it wasn't indicative of her intentions. And so I see that as a point to she's not running for re-election, especially with the criticism she's got for not resigning early because of her mental gaffes and her her symptoms of dementia. I guess not of dementia-like symptoms, of course, because she has had trouble with remembering one of her staff members that's worked with her for years, and of course she's 89 years old. She'll be 90 next year, so I think that she's gonna throw in the towel. Uh, Michigan, Debbie Stabenow has been there since 2001. I think there's a good chance she retires, especially if she's in a competitive race. West Virginia, we don't know about Joe Manchin yet, but he does say he plans to run again. In Delaware, Tom Carper said in 2018 he might retire in 2024. Maryland, Ben Cardin's going to be 81 years old. I think Jamie Raskin will probably run for Senate in that case. In Maine, even though this is an independent, Angus King and Bernie Sanders both caucus with the Democrats. I think both of them are very likely to retire, more so Angus King because he's made it pretty clear that in 2018 that he thinks that that was his last campaign. And of course, I think that Gideon, who was the Democratic nominee against Susan Collins in 2020, I think she might run again. In Vermont, Bernie Sanders, I have absolutely no idea who could replace him other than Peter Welch, but Welch is more than guaranteed to win the Senate seat that Patrick Leahy is vacating later this year. So I guess maybe Molly Gray, who's running for Welch's House seat, so maybe she can take over for Sanders if he decides to retire. Massachusetts could be competitive if Charlie Baker runs again, but Elizabeth Warren is a very strong incumbent. So as you can see, in New Jersey, Bob Menendez is a pretty weak candidate for Democrats. And he may decide to retire because of his age. He's not too old, but he has been viewed negatively because of some bribery charges, I believe, and some scandals. Texas, Ted Cruz might be for Democratic targets. Texas, Ted Cruz may run for president in 2024. If not, he's more than certainly going to run for re-election to the Senate. He has said that he supports term limits, but just like Rand Paul, I doubt that Ted Cruz would actually follow through on it. Um, Beto O'Rourke, I don't think is going to win the governor's race against Greg Abbott. If he does, then he's pretty much ruled out. But that's a what if, that I think Beto O'Rourke winning this year would really surprise me. But if he doesn't win the governor's race, I think that he'll come back and challenge Ted Cruz, and but he probably wouldn't do as well. In Florida, Rick Scott might face Stephanie Murphy, the outgoing Democratic congresswoman, who of course is on the January 6th commission or committee. But I think Scott is, going to be well liked in Florida. Not as much as Marco Rubio or Ron DeSantis, but I think that he would be boosted by a DeSantis candidacy for president, which I think is all but assured now. I mean, let's be obvious. One last Democratic possible retirement, Mazie Hirono in Hawaii. This is a bit of a long shot, but she's going to be 77 years old in 2024. I don't really know if she's going to run again. I think she will, but, it's always that possibility. We could see a lot of retirements from Democrats this year. I think out of the most likely Democrats to retire are Feinstein, Stabenow, Manchin, Cardin, Carper, um, King, although he's an independent, but you get my point. Sanders, and possibly Hirono. Besides that, I think everyone else is going to run again. I think Tester's going to run again. I think he'd lose. But let's just look at the possibilities for Republicans in this cycle. Let's say that all of my predictions as of right now come true. It's not a guarantee, but based on what I have right now, let's look at the possibilities. The most competitive Senate seats. Let's look. We take out Montana, it gets 50-50. If there's a Republican president, they automatically get the majority. West Virginia, it's 51. They get a majority no matter what. Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan. I won't put Virginia there yet. Nevada, Arizona, uh, look at how red this map is already, 57 to 43. But let's look. I might be echoing let's talk elections talking points, and you would be fair to say that since, I do watch him quite a bit, but, I do have, my own opinion. I, don't blindly follow him, but he pointed this out to me a couple months ago, and he said, in that video, you know, there's going to be a lot of, Republican targets. Let's look at Virginia. Let's take Virginia out if Tim Kaine doesn't run again. I think that he will, but let's say Glenn Youngkin wins the Senate race there. It's 58 to 42. Then Minnesota, New Mexico. Let's even say Maine. 61 to 39 Senate seats. Look at how ridiculous this map is. Now this is not this is not even the most likely outcome. This is a filibuster-proof majority. We are beyond the last time that either party had a filibuster-proof majority was post 2008 when Arlen Specter in Pennsylvania switched sides to the Democratic Party and gave them 60 Senate seats. Of course, that special election in Massachusetts to replace Ted Kennedy, or to replace Paul G. Kirk, who replaced Ted Kennedy. That would be a bad that gave them 59 Senate seats. But so let's I know that this video is dragging on for a little while, but I'm gonna show you guys my prediction, or my very early prediction as of right now for 2024, just to get it out of the way. I'm not gonna talk much about these seats since I've already said pretty much all I'm gonna say in this video, but I just want to show you what's my expectations. Go. So as you can see, I have Montana as lean Republican, Texas is likely Republican, Florida as lean R. I think Angus King's going to retire in Maine, New Jersey. There we go. Pennsylvania, I think Bob Casey will hold on. West Virginia Manchin's probably going to run again. So as you can see, for a lot of these races, I just have Democrats barely winning them. And as you can see, I think that Arizona, Kyrsten Sinema is probably going to lose a primary challenge, especially if Democrats retain the Senate this year, and they're unlikely to get more than 51 Senate seats. I think that that's really the best they can do. They could get 52 to 48, which would take out Manchin and Sinema from the equation. They would be able to pass a lot more. But that's a what if, and so let's look at how that translates to a Senate map. Because I have right now Montana and Arizona flipping Republican. So correlating with my last prediction, I will show you guys. Sorry, this video is going on for a little while, but I just wanted to make my point. Of course, Pennsylvania has two Democrats because I think John Fetterman's going to win this November and he's going to flip the Senate seat that Pat Toomey holds. I don't think Dr. Oz is going to win. And I think Georgia, Raphael Warnock's going to win, and Mark Kelly's going to win in Arizona. And I think Cortez Masto will barely win in Nevada. I'll get into that more later. I'm very conflicted on Nevada, but that's the topic for tomorrow with my prediction for 2022, obviously. This video is probably like 20 minutes long, probably 30 minutes. I don't know. I can't keep track of time anymore. Never mind. Eh, this very repetitive. This takes a while. I should have pulled this up earlier. I was not thinking. Eh, so- This is the annoying thing about these maps is that it's so easy to misclick. My God. Go. There we go. So as you can see with this map, with Montana and Arizona flipping, Republicans have 51 Senate seats, the Democrats 49. And, the worst case scenario, it could get worse. It could get, let's say the Republicans, let's say something crazy happens. Let's say that Republicans win, uh, worst case scenario, let's say that they win all the toss-up seats, all the four main seats held by Democrats this year. Look at that, 54 to 46. Then look at this, and this is even worse. Let's look at the worst, the absolute worst case scenario for Democrats. This would be their nightmare. Look at this, 64 Senate seats to 36. Republicans could pass a nationwide abortion ban with this majority. Let's add in New Mexico, Minnesota, Maine, 67 seats. They could impeach Biden if he wins re-election. I don't think they would impeach Biden if they could. If they won this many Senate seats, Biden would probably lose. This is an insane map. I'm telling you guys, this is not even, the 67 Senate seats is a crazy amount. I don't think that it's going to be that lopsided for Republicans, but I'm just warning Democrats right now, get your act together. I know, focus on 2022, but you're going to need to focus a lot on 2024 because look at all these competitive races and look at how red each of them, look at how red this map could get. Look at all the flips. If you mess up in one, you're already done, but you need to, I think 2024 Republicans, I think, will get the majority even if 2022 Democrats hold on in the Senate. I think it's pretty much guaranteed Republicans flip the Senate in 2024 if they don't get it this year. Um, but I think the Democrats, they can't win all of these races, but they can still, what they really need to do is they just need to hold on to what they have. They can't get overconfident. They can't get cocky like they were in 2016, and they need to maintain enough players in the field so that they can obstruct Republicans. And I'm not saying this because I am a Democrat. I mean, I do tend to be more liberal on certain things, but I try not to express my political views in these videos. I try to look at, data. But I'm just saying, I would say the same thing for Republicans this year. They got to watch out because they've nominated the wrong candidates. But in 2024, I think that I'm a lot more confident that the GOP takes back the Senate. Not by this huge margin. This is just a hypothetical. But imagine what could happen and what might happen. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, share, turn on notifications, check out my main channel, my non-political channel, Interactor127, where I don't post political stuff anymore. If you want to see some more of my videos or you just want to hang out, check out my friend or my comrade, GrowlingZoo666, who will hopefully be getting back to YouTube soon. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, guys, and with my Senate prediction, and I'll see you next time when I talk about all things politics. Bye.